Welcome into the Inside Scoop. Today's Sunday, January 12th, and I'm your host, Josh Newberg. And guess what? We got a loaded show today. We're talking Georgia Bulldogs quarterback drama with Rusty Mansell of Dogs HQ. I got an exclusive interview today with Texas quarterback commit Dia Bell, 5-star. He joins the Inside Scoop. We're going to take a look at Tennessee's last 5-star signees, boom or bust. And then we're going to reveal how Alabama won the state of California in the 2025 recruiting cycle. So we got a huge show today. Let's get to it. Let's talk some Georgia Bulldog recruiting. There's been a ton of action over the last week, and we're going to cover it all. From the Carson Beck drama to the UGA coaches on the road seeing the #1 high school player this week. We got Rusty Mansell from Dogs HQ on this video. But before we get started, Georgia fans, do me a favor right now. Hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We're here talking Dogs recruiting all year long. We want you guys to be a part of it. All right, let's bring on Rusty Mansell, Dogs HQ. Rusty, we had you on the show last Sunday, and since your appearance on the show, the Branch brothers committed. Safety Adrian Maddox flipped that commitment from UF to Georgia. Wide receiver Noah Thomas, big-time wide receiver in the portal, is now a Dog. And quarterback Carson Beck is now a Miami Hurricane. So let's talk about that UGA QB room. What's your thoughts right now on the room? Just general thoughts on what still remains.
I mean, it's unproven, but these are these guys were highly recruited for a reason. I mean, Gunnar Stockton, you get to see a small sample size, and first ever game you ever play, you play against Notre Dame in the Sugar Bowl, really. And it's crazy. Gunnar Stockton's first 6 quarters of playing major college Division I quarterback, he went two quarters against Texas, and he went 4 quarters against Notre Dame. And that's not, that's a tough task for anybody, but I think right now, I do think Gunnar Stockton kind of has a leg up on this job. I don't think it's you just hand him the keys. Ryan Puglisi is a young man that very highly recruited, really got down to Georgia and Ohio State for him. And I remember talking to him at the Nashville On 3 Elite Series, the first year we had it. Go back and look at that roster, who we had in Nashville, oh, by the way. But talking to Ryan Puglisi, in that kind of setting, he said, look, man, I had to basically tell Ohio State not to call anymore. I was done. I was going to Georgia. So it kind of tells you, how vested he is in trying to win this job. So I think right now, as we talk about this and tape this, is a two-man race. They're obviously bringing in Ryan Montgomery, a freshman, and Hezekiah Melander, a kid out of Georgia, was kind of under the radar, moved in from Arizona to do his senior season. So they're going to have 4 guys in there, but I don't know how this thing's going to play out. But I do think right now, if you ask me, I think Gunnar Stockton is the favorite going into spring practice.
All right. So I know we live in this new realm of college football where the transfer portal exists, NIL exists, and nothing is what it used to be. But, I want to revisit Carson Beck, kind of go behind the scenes of this. So he announces for the NFL, but then says he's going to enter the transfer portal. Now, Carson Beck started essentially the last 2 seasons for Georgia, but it didn't seem like Georgia was an option for him. What was going on? Did Georgia contact Carson Beck about coming back, or did Kirby and the staff, were they just moving forward without him regardless in 2025?
Listen, I'm sure there were some conversations had, but here's the thing that nobody really talks about. The time crunch for Carson Beck to make the decision he made to go to the NFL, much less to make the decision on what surgery. He went and saw like 4 specialists around the country, from what I was told. He and his team decided on the doctor out in California who did his surgery. What's his time frame? I think for Carson Beck declaring for the draft, he bought himself some time to make a decision. And I think the combination of Miami missing on some targets, which they did, to be able to sell them, look, we did this with Cam Ward last year. Cam Ward was going to the draft. We talked him out of it. He came back. Look what he did. I think for Carson Beck individually, it was either going to be Miami or he was going to the NFL. And I think there's a lot of connections there. Obviously, his girlfriend's there. He's a Florida kid. I think for Carson Beck, on both sides of this, I think he was done at Georgia. He played 5 years there. He did a really good job of what he did. 2 years starting. I think when Georgia, when he got hurt and he declared, I think Georgia went all in with Gunnar Stockton. You saw the comments from the players, like they were ready for this guy to be the guy, and he's got a leg up. But I think it was just for both parties. I think people are having a hard time seeing that for both parties. I think it was the best situation that this is where he's going to play, and Georgia's moving in a different direction.
Yeah, I mean, just me as an outsider watching some of those games when Gunnar Stockton came in, it looked like the offense started humming a little bit, and the guys rallied around him. So yeah, you could kind of see that the program,
and really, truthfully, Josh,
the entire program moved on.
Yeah,
and was ready.
And really,
for
truthfully, yeah, and truthfully, Josh, like everybody he came in with, all those guys are gone. Like his last connection, really, I think was kind of like Tate Ratledge and those guys. I mean, Gunnar Stockton lives with Oscar Delp and all those guys. I mean, this is kind of his room. That's why I think he's got a leg up on the job, but Ryan Puglisi's pretty close to these guys too. So I just think it's one of those deals, man. People have a hard time, Carson Beck. I mean, I think he felt like it was time to move on. The only place I think he plays college football is Miami. Yeah. And let me tell you something, he's going to get paid. He's going to be in the sun, and his girlfriend's there.
Can't beat it. Sounds like a great final year of college to me. Imagine making $3 million being with your girlfriend in Miami for your last year of college.
I guarantee you it's more than that. When it's all said and done, I guarantee you it's more than that.
Yeah. So good for Carson Beck and good for the Georgia football program. All right. Let's stay on the QB topic, but kind of switch gears to high school. Offensive coordinator Mike Bobo, he was here in Nashville, not to see me. He was here to see Jared Curtis. Where do the Dogs stand with the former commitment and number one quarterback overall?
Well, this is a guy they circled early. You know what I mean? You really look at this class, and it kind of, even when Juju Lewis was in that class, it was kind of like Georgia was all in on Jared Curtis. And I think that made him feel I think it made him trust the staff. You know what I mean? I think that's why he committed early. You look at Georgia, they zeroed in on Jared Curtis after he threw for them, after Mike Bobo went to Nashville, watched him throw, all those things. I think that Jared Curtis knows that Georgia wants him. They have been all in on him, committed and then decommitted to open things up. Listen, I know this. Am I predicting he's going to end up at Georgia? I'm not, because there's a long way to go with this. Yeah. But I know there's a lot of people in his circle that really like Georgia. There's a lot of people in his circle that really like Mike Bobo. It does not surprise me that Mike Bobo, the first day he was out on the road, he went to Nashville and spent as much time as he possibly could in that home with Jared Curtis.
All right. What's this high school recruiting going to look like this offseason? Like, is there a big junior day coming up, or is most of the action going to take place around spring practice? How's Georgia approaching the 2026 cycle?
Well, February is dead. So what everybody tries to do, I think what everybody tries to do now is everybody tries to have a big junior day in March. Then you start having those May evaluation days where you can go watch practice. I think that's more important. Josh, you and I have been doing this so long. We have seen the different cycles now of 2 signing days, but we've also seen the importance of June visits. And when we have our Nashville On 3 Elite Series, to me, at the end of every May, when those guys come to Nashville, they're about to start taking their OVs. To me, that's when it gets real. You start finding out who's really in and who's really not, because they start having those important meetings with that head coach on Sunday. When you start talking numbers, you find out real quick we're either in with him or he's not going to end up here for sure.
Yeah, it's like the months of January, February, March, April, May. Those are kind of like the warm-up laps, and then June 1st is when the race really starts, and you can feel that. It's like a season, and then the playoffs begin. You can just feel the intensity kind of ratchet up in recruiting after June 1. So that makes sense. So let's wrap it up. Is Georgia done in the portal? Do you see any more major additions coming for the Bulldogs?
I don't want to butcher his name, but I think it's Marquise Grace, the South Dakota edge defender. I think Georgia had him on campus the other day, and this is a guy, especially with Damon Wilson leaving, that kind of caught some people off guard too. That leaves some snaps there in that room at edge. This is a guy, I think Georgia Tech, Kentucky. I know USC was trying to get involved there. Kansas State was trying to get involved there. It's going to be interesting where he goes, but I do know that Georgia had him on campus. They're in communications with him as we tape this, and I think that's a guy to watch. But I do think this, even if they do get him, that's the position I would watch post-spring, that May portal window for Georgia at edge defender, because they like to add another guy in that room. They lost Michael Williams. Now you lose Damon Wilson. They lost some guys there. They lost some very talented guys there. And they got some young players now that were highly recruited as well. And I'll give you an under-the-radar name. A lot of people don't know this. Quintavious Johnson. This guy was 6'5", Josh, 250 pounds, playing high school quarterback at Mays High School in Atlanta. Georgia works him out. People are like, what are they doing? They sign him. I'm telling you, there's some buzz about this kid. He had a really good freshman year. He played all special teams. Just tuck that name away as it goes in. Kirby Smart has had a way of finding these under the radar guys, and all of a sudden, this guy's a high NFL draft pick. I watched Ladd McConkey dominate an NFL game yesterday. Don't count out Quintavious Johnson just yet at an important edge position.
All right, great stuff, Rusty. Georgia fans, talk to us. How are you guys feeling about the Carson Beck departure? How are you feeling about the quarterback room in general? Let us know. Comment section below. Texas Longhorn fans, I got a special interview for you today. We got 5-star quarterback Dia Bell, Longhorn commitment from American Heritage High School, one of the top quarterbacks in the 2026 cycle. He's here to talk a little about his offseason, what he's trying to accomplish once he arrives in Austin, and just what type of player in person he is. Really fun interview. I hope you guys like it. And before we get going, Texas fans, you know we're here talking Longhorns recruiting all year round, bringing you guys special interviews like this. It's exciting time. So do me a favor right now and hit the subscribe button for me. All right, let's hear from Dia Bell, the 5-star from American Heritage High School. Welcome in. We got a special interview. We got quarterback Dia Bell, the 5-star from American Heritage High School. He's an on-3 industry number 4 ranked quarterback in the country, the 13th best player overall. And he's committed to the Texas Longhorns. Now, Bell was recently named Florida Gatorade Player of the Year in 2024. And now he's joining us here on the On3 Recruits channel. Let's bring in Dia Bell. Dia, welcome in. How you doing? And thanks for your time today.
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
All right, let's get into it. So you're committed to the Texas Longhorns. At what point of your recruitment did you know it was going to be Texas? Like, was there a moment on a visit or just somewhere along the line where you're like, ooh, it's the Longhorns?
Yeah, I mean, Texas has always been up there for me. They've been talking to me since I was in 8th grade when I went out to a camp. So when I kind of made my last round of trips and I went to that elite camp and I came home and kind of looked over it with my family and my coaches, it just kind of hit me that Texas was the place where I kind of wanted to be.
All right. So Texas' season comes to an end in the semifinals of the college football playoffs. What did you enjoy most about this 2024 season watching the Longhorns?
I just liked how versatile their offense was. I mean, they put a lot of stress on defenses with motions and shifts in their offense, and they gave a lot of different looks to a lot of different defenses. So I was really excited to watch that, and it shows just how creative Sark can be within the offense with the guys he has.
Who were some of the playmakers you were most excited to watch throughout the season?
Oh, I mean, there's plenty to name. The running backs, both running backs, Quintavious Wisner and Jaden Blue, as well as Quinn Ewers, obviously, Matthew Golden, Ryan Wingo, Isaiah Bond, DJ Moore, and then the entire offensive line and all the defense. Everybody was playing really well this year, and I always look forward to watching their games.
Yeah, I did too this season. It was really fun to watch the Longhorns on offense. What's your relationship with, what is your relationship with Coach Sark like?
It's really good. I mean, every time I go visit, I get to spend time with him, talk to him about what's been going on and just catch up with him. We text and call every once in a while, but I mean, I always like to talk to him after games and talk to him about certain plays I may have liked or just questions I had about certain type of plays they called on certain downs. So, I mean, my relationship with him is great.
Mm-hmm. That's good that you have a relationship with the head coach, but we know in recruiting, you generally have a primary recruiter who's an assistant coach. So what coach on staff do you have the best relationship with?
I'd say for sure Coach Milwee and Coach Mike, because those are two guys I'll be spending most of my time with there when I get there. But I also have great relationships with guys like Coach Flood, Coach Choice, Coach Jackson, and a bunch of people in the recruiting department.
All right. So when it comes to Texas's offensive scheme, what gets you so excited to play in that?
I mean, you know, Coach Sark has coached at NFL level and at the college level now, and the stuff that they ask their quarterbacks to do is very pro ready, and he likes to run a lot of pro offenses. He spends a lot of time with pro coaches in the off season. So what they ask their quarterbacks to do is very translative to the NFL, and that's kind of something that I look at.
All right. So as you and I sit here in this interview, the 2025 cycle is not even finished yet. That officially gets done in early February. That's when the 2026 cycle really gets going. But Dia, you're already committed. Why did you want to commit so early?
I just felt like it was the right time. I mean, I was blessed to be able to visit a lot of the schools that took a lot of interest in me and I took a lot of interest in. And so after I kind of made my rounds, it just felt like locking in early was the best decision for me so I could start building a top class in the 2026 and be able to focus on high school state championship.
Yeah, and we just did a video on it. There's only 3 quarterbacks in the top 10 that still remain uncommitted. So you are with a majority of the quarterbacks having picked a school already. We're in the NIL era of college football. So who kind of helped you navigate the NIL part of your recruitment?
I mean, my dad for sure. I mean, with him being a pro athlete and going through a lot of that sort of stuff, and then on top of that, my NIL group, Team Wasserman, they have both helped me navigate this space very well. And I felt like at the end of the day, if I kept the main thing, which was being the best player I could be, all that stuff would kind of fall in place. So it was never really about the NIL and about the money, but just about my play, and everything else would come along with that.
Was there any part of your recruitment that you would say was stressful?
I mean, for sure. I mean, there was a lot of coaches reaching out. A lot of them asking me to come visit, and obviously, when I felt like it was time to make the decision, it was stressful because you got to do your deep research and do your soul searching and figure out where you feel is most comfortable and where you feel like you're developed the best at. So it was definitely stressful in that sort of time, but I feel like at the end of the day, I made the right decision.
Are there any other schools that you still want to see that you haven't yet?
Again, I'd say I visited a lot of the schools that took real interest in me because obviously my dad was able to do that for me, which I'm blessed to be able to say. So I wouldn't say that there's like a place where I need to go visit at this time, but I'd say that I got to visit most of the schools that I felt like I needed to visit.
Okay, good. So do you play any other sports besides football?
Yeah, I played basketball these past 2 years in high school. Playing it all throughout growing up in little league and travel basketball so basketball was the other sport I really grew up playing.
Do you consistently beat your father?
No, I beat him once in a one-on-one like a year ago, but that's just because he's not allowed to post me up anymore. It's not fair. He's just the size advantage. But no, he still got it. My little brother probably has that space now. He's kind of took over the basketball in this house, so I wouldn't say so.
Yeah, which is why you're going to college to play football and not basketball.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk. What do you do on a weekend where there's no football or 7-on-7? I know that doesn't come often, but what does Diabel like to do when he's not playing football?
I like to spend a lot of time with family, my younger siblings as well, knowing they play other sports like soccer and basketball. I like to go watch their games. Sometimes there's NBA games on the weekends. We like to watch those, and just in general, spend time with family, maybe watch a show or a movie. So that's kind of what I do.
All right. You mentioned something earlier about jumping on board with Texas early so you could commit. So, Dia, who is your most important recruit that you want to get to join you at Texas?
I mean, there are plenty of names out there around the receiving core, running back, and O-line. They know who they are. I reach out and I like to talk to them every once in a while, make sure they know that I want them to come with me and that Texas also wants them a lot as well. So those guys out there know who they are, and I'm gonna keep pushing for them whether they're committed or not.
Yeah, you're an active recruiter. I know anytime you're on campus, they always surround you with the top recruits and, you do your job. So that's great. And I'm sure Longhorn fans want to hear that. How has it been playing at American Heritage? I'm from the state of Florida. I know historically what American Heritage is. It's a powerhouse program down there in South Florida that has just cranked out players at all levels, but also you guys play a really tough schedule. So how has American Heritage prepared you for college football?
Yeah, since the 8th grade, I mean, because American Heritage is a private school, I've been able to play up as an 8th grader and be the sort of scout team quarterback playing against Power 5 DBs ever since I've been there. And being able to have contact with those alumni that have played in the NFL are all things that I take into consideration that help me be prepared for the next level. And then on top of that, like you said, our schedules are always top in the country, and we like to play. We're not trying to hide from anybody. So, I mean, that in all that, I like to say that is definitely preparation for Power 5 football.
Yeah, a lot of legends have walked through the halls at American Heritage, and you're just another one to come through there. So, what are your goals this offseason? What are you trying to accomplish?
Such as the things like just getting bigger, stronger, and faster, just are things that you're always able to work on. On top of that, I'd like to build better relationships with the guys that just transferred into the school as of right now. And then like work harder into getting my body and everything ready so that I could try and sweep these awards next year, such as Elite 11, Max Preps Player of the Year, Gatorade Player of the Year again, hopefully national. And then obviously a Nat Moore Award down here for South Florida football players. But I felt like I would have had a better opportunity to try and win some of those if I got to play my last 4 games. But it is what it is, and I have a whole nother year to try and win it again.
All right, let's wrap it up with this. What can Texas fans expect from Dia Bell when he steps on campus in Austin?
They can just expect a hard worker, a great teammate, and somebody that's going to come in and push everybody to be their best. And I'm going to do whatever it takes to bring a national championship back to the 40 acres.
All right, there you go. Dia Bell, 5-star quarterback from American Heritage High School. Thank you for spending your Sunday afternoon here on the On3 Recruits channel.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having me.
Let's talk some Tennessee recruiting. We're talking 5-star. So in today's video, we're going to go back and look at the last 5 On3 industry 5-stars that signed with Tennessee, and we're here to determine whether we're boom or bust. So we know everybody's super excited about David Sanders Jr., the 5-star offensive tackle that's already early enrolled in 2025. But we're going to go back a couple years. We're going to start with the 2024 cycle, and we're going to go back 5 stars to determine, were they really living up to the hype? Let's get into it. But first, Tennessee fans, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. You know we talk Tennessee recruiting all year long, so jump on board and hit subscribe for me, please. All right, let's start with 2024. There was one 5-star in the class. That was Jordan Ross, the number 4 ranked edge in America from Birmingham, Alabama. He was super productive as a senior, 72 tackles, 12.5 sacks. He was a dual sport star, football and hoops. And remember, he committed right here on the On3 Recruits channel. It was a battle. It was between Alabama, Florida, Tennessee, and Texas. Ross took those official visits to Florida, Tennessee, and Texas. And remember, the Crimson Tide, they just hung around. They were the in-state school that nobody was ready to cross off his list. Then he took his time, right? He took those officials in June, then waited through July, and at the end of August, he commits to Tennessee. So he's on campus. He just got through his true freshman season. He had 3 tackles. He only played in 2 games, so he's likely going to redshirt, which is fine. And so we take a look at what he's going to be next year. We expect Ross to take on a much bigger role in 2025. I think he's going to be a major contributor on defense. So too early to tell. We can't say boom. We can't say bust. Way too early to tell on Jordan Ross. But I think he's trending in the direction of a boom. Just me. Just what I'm thinking. You guys let me know what you guys think. Now, let's move on to Mike Matthews. He also signed in 2024. He's the 5-star from Lilburn, Georgia. Another big recruiting win for Tennessee, and another one that committed right here on the On3 Recruits channel. So it was Georgia, the in-state powerhouse, USC, Clemson. Clemson early on, that's where I thought he was going. Probably like way early in his recruitment, I thought Clemson. But in the end, right here on the On3 Recruits channel, Mike Matthews makes his pledge to Tennessee on July 19th, and that was the end of his recruitment. He was all vol from there. So what did he do as a freshman? Well, he had 7 catches, 90 yards. He had a 32-yard kickoff return and 1 touchdown as a true freshman. Of course, after the season, there was the I'm entering myself. I intend to enter into the portal, but never really hit the portal. That whole thing went down, and it looks like it's all cleared up. Mike Matthews is going to return to Tennessee, and, his status heading into next year, he's expected to step into that wide receiver 1 role next year and be a very productive piece of this offense. So Mike Matthews, boom or bust. Way too early to tell on Mike Matthews. I like that he produced as a freshman and that Tennessee is doing everything they can to keep him a part of this roster and a part of this offense. So too early to tell on Mike Matthews. So inside scoop listeners, we're talking Prize Picks. And you guys know I love my Prize Picks. And now we got the national championship coming up for college football. NFL football is entering playoff season. So it's a great time to up your game. Lines are becoming available as we speak for Ohio State and Notre Dame next week. Let me know who you're playing. Will Howard, Jeremiah Smith, Riley Leonard. Let me know who you got. Now, you guys know all about Prize Picks. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay. That's what makes Prize Picks the #1 fantasy sports app. Prize Picks now offers Apple Pay for quick and easy deposits right into your account. It's the most fun and easy way to make a little money during the football season. So here's what we're going to do. Go to prizepicks.com/inside scoop, and you're going to receive a guaranteed $50 once you play $5 in lineups. So get this. You play $5 in lineups. Whether you win or lose that, you're going to have $50 in your account afterward. And all you got to do is go to prizepicks.com/inside scoop. So let's do it. Let's make some money as the football season winds down. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. Let's move on to Nico Iamaleava, the 5-star from Long Beach, California, signed in that 2023 class, #3 ranked quarterback according to the On3 industry. And, you know, he started this season. He threw for over 2,600 yards, 19 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions with a 70.6 QBR in his lone season as starter for Tennessee. So just looking at that 2024 resume, we have some respectable numbers. I mean, nothing, not terrible at 19-5 and a 70.6 QBR, but not eye-popping numbers. So the question for Tennessee fans is, does this production match up with his NIL earnings at Tennessee? Remember, about 2 years ago, I believe The Athletic reported that Iamaleava signed with Spire Group, and he was scheduled to make, or is making, $8 million over 3 years. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. So we get to boom or bust. I know it's really too early to officially say it, but I'm going to say it right now. I'm leaning bust. I don't know if he, okay, so what we do know is he's going to be the starter. They're putting the pieces around him. Mike Matthews is returning, and it's not over yet. But I know he's not, as of now, what you would call a boom 5-star #3 quarterback in the country, especially if you factor in, one is ranking, the amount of NIL resources being put into this position. So you guys, maybe you disagree with me, but right now, I'm leaning bust for Nico Iamaleava. 2022, there was no 5-star signed, although James Pierce was a 4-star that plays like a 5-star. 2021, Aaron Willis, 4-star linebacker, was the top signee. I believe he's transferred to Houston and maybe even left Houston since then. And then 2020, the top signee, 4-star quarterback Harrison Bailey. Didn't really work out at Tennessee. But then we get to 2019, and Tennessee, under Jeremy Pruitt, signs a massive 5-star. They signed 2 5-stars in this class. Offensive tackle Darnell Wright, the #3 offensive tackle in America, #6 overall. Started 7 games his freshman year, started 9 as a sophomore, 13 as a junior and senior. Got invited to the Senior Bowl, had a healthy career at Tennessee, and only 1 season under Josh Heupel. Then he went on to be the 10th pick overall by the Chicago Bears, current starter at right tackle. So we got to determine, is he a boom or a bust? He's an absolute boom. Nothing else to say there. Wanye Morris also signed. He's the 5th 5-star that we're going to cover. This goes back to the 2019 cycle, #4 offensive tackle, #20 overall. Remember, he played 2 seasons at Tennessee before the Jeremy Pruitt fallout, and he left for Oklahoma. Started 12 games as a freshman, 9 games as a senior at OU. He had a great career. You know, despite what happened at Tennessee with Jeremy Pruitt, he continued to develop at Oklahoma. He was drafted 92nd overall by the Kansas City Chiefs, and he's still a major contributor. So we look at Wanye Morris. Is he a boom or a bust? Now, from Tennessee side of things, I guess no matter how you look at it, he's a boom. I know he didn't finish his career at Tennessee, so maybe you say bust from the Tennessee perspective, but overall, Wanye Morris is a boom. And just for a bonus, we go to 2017. That's the next 5-star. That's offensive tackle Trey Smith, number 10 player overall in 2017. And got to say, he was a boom as well. So overall, through the years, Tennessee has gotten the most out of their 5-stars. The question is, can Nico turn the corner? Is Jordan Ross going to be a star? Is Mike Matthews going to be a star? These are all 5-stars. You guys let me know. Boom or bust, what do you think of the last 5 signees at the 5-star level for Tennessee? Let us know. Comment section below. How did Alabama win the state of California in the 2025 recruiting cycle? Well, that's what we're going to break down in this video. We've been going state to state, kind of taking a look at where the top players went, and now we're on California, and somehow Alabama, pound for pound, pulled out the best class in California. So we're going to break that down. We're going to take a look at the top 10 players, where they went, and how the Tide were able to pull this off. So before we get started, guys, let's do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Look, we're over 75K, so getting to 100. Help me out. Let's get there. Hit subscribe. All right, let's start with the number 1 player in the state of California. And, of course, he's going to USC, but it wasn't always that way. You see Husan Longstreet from Corona, California, number 4 quarterback, number 1 player in the state, committed to Texas A&M early and really had a quiet recruitment. That was until November when Lincoln Riley flipped him, and, you know, he kind of swapped out Julian Lewis, who was another elite quarterback that USC had committed from the state of Georgia. But in the end, it only felt right for the number 1 player in the state to go to USC, but we won't hear USC's name again for a little bit. So number 2, cornerback, 5-star Dijon Lee, 6'3", 187 from Mission Viejo, California, and he's headed to Alabama. He's the number 4 ranked player at his position, a top 25 recruit in the entire country. Really impressive pull for Alabama. There were some teams that came at him at the end, but Dijon Lee locked into the Tide. At number 3, big one, literally and physically, Jackson Lloyd, 6'6.5", 280 pounds, the number 7 ranked offensive tackle in the country. Now, On3 has him a bit higher as a 5-star. He's ranked as a 4-star in the industry rankings, but he committed to Alabama in June, took that official visit. Remember, we saw that trend happening in the summer with Alabama. They were getting guys on campus, and then they were getting commitments from them a couple days later. You don't really see that these days because these guys like to set big commitment dates down the road, have big announcements, ceremonies, but Jackson Lloyd was one of those guys that just took the trip and decided, I want to end this recruitment, and committed. Now, a couple teams made a run at him late, but Bama signs the number 3 player in the state of California. At number 4, Adonis Curry. He's going to Texas A&M, and A&M did some damage in the state of California. Curry, 6'5", 160 pounds from Lancaster, California, and a really good one. Mike Elko loading up on defense, and not the last California recruit that we'll see headed to College Station. At number 5, cornerback Chuck McDonald, and another Cali to T-Town recruit. McDonald, he's from Powerhouse Modern Day High School. He goes 6 foot, 185. He's expected to play corner at Alabama. At number 6, linebacker Madden Ferramo. Now this went down to the wire. USC was heavily involved here, but Ferramo chose South Bend over Southern Cal. He's 6'2", 225. Expected to be an early contributor for the Irish. At number 7, Matai Tagoai. Now, he's committed to USC. Another top linebacker. This one's staying home, though. Matai's from San Clemente, California. Great size, 6'3", 200 pounds. A important pickup for the Trojans. At number 8, Hayden Lowe. And he's going to Miami. And this one stings for USC because Lowe is from Oaks Christian right there in LA. And he committed to the Trojans early, but a late flip to Miami, and that sealed it. 6'3", 227 pounds coming off the edge, and he's heading to South Beach. At number 9, another edge rusher, Marco Jones, another one going out to College Station. Texas A&M, they get a big-time pass rusher. He's 6'4", 242 from Danville. All right, and then at number 10, linebacker Noah McHale. Another big pickup on defense for Mike Elko and the Aggies. McHale took 11 visits to USC throughout his recruitment, but in the end, he's heading to Texas A&M exactly. So that's the top 10. And then I thought we need to mention number 11, You got 6'6" tight end Caleb Edwards from El Dorado Hills, and he's heading to Alabama. So that's why Alabama, pound for pound, did the most damage in the state of California. Bama lands 3 in the top 5, plus number 11, so 4 out of the top 11. A&M, they land 3 in the top 10, only 1 in the top 5, so not as strong as Alabama's. But then you got USC, or I should say, then you got USC, and they did land the number 1 overall in Longstreet, but really only 1 more after that. So how did Alabama do it? Simple. Relationships. Kalen DeBoer, coming from Washington, still had many pre-existing relationships in that California region where Washington recruits so closely. So do I think Alabama's going to be able to do this every year? No, I don't think they're going to go into the state of California and land the best players every year. No, but as you know, I think we'll see a slow decline as Kalen DeBoer's relationships kind of run out, the ones that he was building at Washington, although he still knows plenty of people and coaches in California. But a lot of these recruits that maybe visited Washington could make an easy correlation to his time at Alabama. So this year, Kalen DeBoer does some damage in the state of California. We'll see if next year USC can make a rebound and own the state once and for all. So you guys talk to me. What do you think? Do you guys believe me? Do you think Alabama recruited California better than anybody else? Or was there another team? Let me know. Comment section below.